Malachi Daring slowly raised his crystal tumbler. The clinking of ice almost lost amidst the boisterous applause echoing through the Grand Orchid Hotel ballroom. His 67th birthday coincided with his retirement after 4 decades at Commonwealth Trust Bank. A culmination he had anticipated, yet a peculiar stillness clung to the table occupied by his family. To Malachi, his department head boomed, whose unwavering hand navigated our global asset management through half a dozen market corrections and countless geopolitical shifts. We'd still be bogged down in antiquated systems if not for his foresight in digital transformation. Another wave of appreciative claps. Malachi offered a polite nod, his thoughts adrift. His wife, Veronica, had been uncharacteristically doting over the last few weeks, delivering his morning coffee to bed, suggesting impromptu weekend getaways, and discussing their post-retirement aspirations with an almost unsettling enthusiasm. Their typically aloof children, Nora and Peter, had suddenly developed a keen interest in weekly family dinners and fond childhood anecdotes. Something felt profoundly out of place. When the tributes concluded, Malachi made his way to their secluded corner booth. Veronica, still sharp at 62 with her meticulously styled silver bob and a practiced, composed smile, placed a manicured hand on his arm. Their daughter, Nora, 40, a corporate litigator with her mother's precise features and chilling ambition, exchanged a quick, knowing glance with Peter, 37, who possessed Malachi's sturdy frame but none of his disciplined drive. "Congratulations, father," Peter offered, his voice betraying a mix of thinly veiled eagerness and a tremor of apprehension Malachi couldn't quite decipher. "We have a very special presentation for you," Veronica added, her cool blue eyes glinting with an odd satisfaction. "A small token of our appreciation for your years of service." Malachi watched as his wife opened her designer clutch and produced a bespoke leather portfolio. She slid it across the polished tabletop with deliberate grace. "What might this be?" Malachi inquired, a familiar cold dread settling in his gut. "Do open it," Nora urged, her hidden earpiece undoubtedly recording his every reaction. Malachi unfastened the portfolio's silver clasp. Inside lay an array of legal instruments, annulment decrees, detailed asset reallocations, and trust fund amendments, all awaiting his formal endorsement. "We believe this approach would be the most expedient," Veronica explained, her tone hollow with feigned concern. "A single signature, and you can embark upon your new life entirely unburdened. Your pension, naturally, transfers to us. You retain absolutely nothing." Peter chimed in, a triumphant smirk playing on his lips, his mind already tallying projected gains. Nora leaned forward, her expression a mask of chilling victory. 40 years well spent, old man. A life perfectly wasted." Malachi gazed at the documents, his face betraying nothing of the molten fury simmering beneath his placid exterior. For 4 decades, he had meticulously maintained a dual existence, the mild-mannered banking executive by day, and a quiet, intricate web of connections and covert operations by night. His family remained utterly oblivious to his true resources, the myriad of safe houses, or the untraceable offshore trusts he had painstakingly established through years of meticulous foresight. They assumed they knew him. They were catastrophically mistaken. He withdrew his personalized silver pen, a gift from Veronica on their 27th anniversary, uncapped it with deliberate slowness, and signed each document with exacting precision. "Understood," he stated simply, returning the pen to his breast pocket. His family exchanged triumphant, self-satisfied glances as Malachi rose. "I shall vacate my office and be gone by dawn." "That would be for the best," Veronica concurred, already scrolling through exotic resort brochures on her encrypted device. 3 days later, Veronica's secure phone began an incessant cascade of alerts. Malachi had vanished completely, not merely from their opulent residence, but from every known facet of his former life. Their consolidated accounts had been systematically drained. The retirement gala was the last anyone had seen of Malachi Daring. Nora's phone chimed next. It was the family's senior counsel, his voice edged with palpable panic. "It's unfolding far sooner than our projected timeline," he warned. "Every asset, every holding, it's all gone." Malachi had meticulously engineered this precise moment for the past 17 years. The initial faint tremor of Veronica's perfidy had surfaced during their 27th wedding anniversary, when he had inadvertently stumbled upon encrypted messages from Byron Hayes, his supposed confidant and the family's long-standing financial advisor. The communiques detailed more than a clandestine affair. They revealed a meticulously constructed, long-term scheme to secure their collective future once Malachi's utility had been exhausted. Rather than confront them, Malachi had quietly begun constructing an elaborate exit strategy, utterly unknown to his family or his colleagues. Malachi possessed an extraordinary repertoire of specialized skills, honed during his formative years in a covert military unit long before his banking career. Abilities in advanced intelligence gathering, strategic psychological warfare, and sophisticated digital infiltration, which he had kept meticulously concealed behind his unassuming, almost unremarkable facade. In a secure urban penthouse across the city, one of 9 anonymous safe houses he controlled through labyrinthine corporate structures, Malachi activated the operation he had codenamed Regicide. On a bank of 3 panoramic monitors, he observed the frantic, escalating activities of his former family. Veronica attempted to access their shared financial portfolios only to discover them completely wiped clean. Peter endeavored to contact Malachi's former associates, only to learn his father's entire professional footprint had been irrevocably purged from the bank's central network. Nora leveraged her extensive legal connections, but every attempt to pinpoint Malachi's whereabouts encountered impenetrable digital roadblocks. He cannot simply evaporate. Veronica snapped at Byron Hayes as they sat in her elegant, high-ceilinged study. Byron had aged terribly, his once attractive features now bloated and sallow from years of extravagant lunches and excessive indulgence. He's a tedious accountant, not a phantom. Your tedious accountant husband withdrew precisely $20,000 from 25 disparate regional banks yesterday, Byron stammered nervously. That's a cool $500,000 in untraceable, non-sequential cash. Preposterous, Veronica countered, dismissing his claim with a wave of her hand. Malachi lacks the audacity for such a maneuver. Byron's phone chimed with an urgent notification. His already pallid face drained of all color as he scanned the message. What is it? Veronica demanded. I've just been flagged for an immediate, high-priority audit by the Federal Oversight Bureau, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Someone submitted compelling evidence of severe irregularities across multiple client accounts. Across the city, Malachi permitted himself a faint, almost imperceptible smile as he initiated the transfer of another anonymously routed, meticulously curated data packet. This one destined for Peter's corporate employer, containing irrefutable evidence of his son's long-standing practice of diverting corporate resources for highly speculative, unauthorized investments. Peter had been systematically siphoning company funds to cover significant personal losses for years, a fact Malachi had documented with meticulous precision. For Nora, Malachi had devised a particularly poetic retribution. As the most cold-bloodedly calculating of his children, she warranted specific, targeted attention. Malachi accessed a secured server and uploaded a trove of damning documents to the State Disciplinary Board, irrefutable proof that Nora had deliberately fabricated testimonies and tampered with discovery protocols in 3 high-profile criminal cases to secure wrongful convictions. Within a mere 48 hours, Peter was suspended indefinitely pending a comprehensive internal investigation. Nora was summoned before an emergency disciplinary committee hearing. Byron Hayes' lavish downtown office was simultaneously raided by a joint task force of federal agents. And Veronica discovered, to her utter horror, that their sprawling family estate, supposedly fully paid off years ago, carried a substantial, forgotten lien with payments 3 months past due. The family converged at Nora's sleek, minimalist apartment in a state of escalating panic. They had collectively received 73 frantic calls from various authorities, aggressive creditors, and professional associations in just 2 days. This is Malachi's orchestration, Nora insisted, pacing the polished concrete floors of her living room. He must have been planning this for years. That's absurd, Veronica scoffed, dismissing the notion with a dismissive flick of her wrist. He possesses neither the intellect nor the backbone for such an elaborate scheme. Then pray tell, how is everything unraveling simultaneously and catastrophically? Peter shot back, his face haggard from acute stress and lack of sleep. Their heated argument was abruptly interrupted by the chime of the private elevator. A courier, impeccably dressed, delivered a slender, artisanal leather pouch addressed to the family. Inside lay a single, immaculately handwritten note in Malachi's precise, elegant script. A grandmaster always thinks several moves ahead. You've been playing pawns your entire lives. The match has commenced. MD. Beneath the note was a single, crystal-clear photograph. Veronica and Byron in an intimate, undeniable embrace, meticulously dated 17 years earlier, on the evening of Malachi and Veronica's 27th wedding anniversary. Desperation drove Veronica to the sole individual who might possess the means to locate Malachi, his younger brother, Ronan Dale. Unlike Malachi's corporate trajectory, Ronan had forged a formidable logistics conglomerate through lucrative black operations contracts after serving in a clandestine military intelligence unit alongside Malachi decades prior. I haven't communicated with my brother in years, Ronan stated, inviting Veronica into his sleek, minimalist office suite overlooking the bustling industrial docks. At 62, Ronan retained the powerful physique and an unervingly direct gaze of a man accustomed to commanding immediate, unquestioning respect. Please, Veronica pleaded, her composure finally fracturing. Our accounts are irrevocably frozen. Our reputations are utterly decimated. And Malachi has simply ceased to exist. Ronan studied her with chilling, dispassionate eyes. And you express concern for his welfare? Of course, Veronica lied, her voice cracking slightly. Ronan's low laugh held no trace of amusement. Do you understand why Malachi and I ceased our regular communication? Veronica shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. Because 17 years ago, he uncovered your sordid affair with Hayes. He sought my counsel. I advised him to initiate immediate divorce proceedings. Ronan leaned forward, his gaze unwavering. But my soft-hearted brother claimed he loved you too profoundly. He harbored the foolish notion that you would eventually choose him. So instead, I maintained my distance, unwilling to witness my brother being played for a fool. Veronica's carefully constructed facade crumbled. You knew. Malachi knew, too, Ronan stated flatly, his voice devoid of emotion. For 17 years, he knew, and he uttered not a single word. Instead, he observed, he waited, and he prepared. Prepared for what? For you to reveal your hand. Ronan rose, a clear signal that the conversation had reached its conclusion. You never truly grasped the nature of the man you married. Malachi was never just some ledger keeper. Before banking, we served together in operations so clandestine they don't even have official designations. Malachi was the architect, the infinitely patient one, the individual who could meticulously plan 5 years into the future while the rest of us could barely conceive of the next 5 minutes. Veronica departed Ronan's office with a horrifying, undeniable realization. She had never known her husband at all. Meanwhile, Byron Hayes confronted a looming financial abyss. His remaining clients were abandoning him in droves as the ongoing investigations unearthed years of systemic ethical breaches and outright theft. When he returned to his lavish penthouse apartment that evening, he found Malachi sitting calmly in his living room, observing the city lights. How did you gain entry? Byron gasped, his voice raspy with shock. The same way I've been gaining access to your secured accounts, your encrypted communications, and your offshore holdings nestled in the Caymans. Malachi replied evenly, his voice devoid of inflection. You truly should have selected a more robust password than Veronica's birth date. Byron lunged instinctively for his phone, but Malachi moved with a surprising, almost unnerving swiftness for a man of his age. Be seated, Byron, Malachi commanded, his tone firm. I'm not present to inflict physical harm upon you. That would be far too simplistic. Byron collapsed onto his plush sofa, his body trembling uncontrollably. What do you want from me? I wish for you to comprehend a fundamental truth, Malachi explained calmly, his gaze piercing. Every single penny you have illicitly diverted from clients over these many years has been meticulously documented and scheduled for automated, anonymous delivery to the relevant authorities. If I fail to reset a particular timer every 24 hours, your complete, utter destruction is literally tied to a dead man's switch. You're bluffing, Byron whispered, his face ashen. Malachi offered a thin, almost imperceptible smile and initiated an encrypted voice memo. Byron and Veronica's hushed discussion, detailing precisely how they intended to access Malachi's pension and investment portfolios once the annulment was formally executed. I have been recording everything for 17 years, Malachi stated, his voice calm, chillingly precise. Every whispered conversation, every illicit transaction, every insidious betrayal. What do you truly desire from me? Byron asked, utterly defeated, his spirit broken. Nothing more than the profound satisfaction of observing your methodical self-immolation, Malachi answered, rising to depart. And to convey a singular message to my former family. I possess the capacity to overlook many transgressions, but deliberate, calculated betrayal is not among them. The following week, precisely as Malachi had anticipated, Byron made a desperate attempt on his own life, but was discovered in time by an alert neighbor. His subsequent confession under duress unequivocally implicated Veronica in extensive financial fraud, detailing how she had manipulated and embezzled from multiple client accounts. Peter, facing severe criminal charges for corporate embezzlement, attempted to flee the country only to discover his biometric passport had been flagged and revoked. Nora, irrevocably stripped of her license and completely unemployable within the legal sphere, found every single application for a new position mysteriously and systematically rejected. On the 1-month anniversary of his retirement gala, Malachi orchestrated his final, devastating move. He arranged for his former family to receive official summonses to what they mistakenly believed was a crucial settlement negotiation at an exclusive, members-only club downtown. When Veronica, Peter, and Nora arrived, they were met not by legal counsel, but by a phalanx of reporters from every major news outlet and a formidable contingent of investigators from multiple federal agencies. Malachi had anonymously tipped the press about a sprawling financial corruption expose involving Portland's most elite. As camera flashes erupted around them, the trio realized with sickening clarity they had walked into an exquisitely constructed trap. They attempted to flee but found their exit routes blocked by stern-faced hotel security personnel privately retained by Malachi's intricate network. A massive holographic projector activated in the opulent conference room, displaying a comprehensive dossier of their collective crimes across the expansive screen for all present to witness. Meticulously compiled financial records, time-stamped recorded conversations, and irrefutable photographic evidence coalesced to create a devastating portrait of a family's calculated, protracted betrayal. Malachi never appeared in person. Instead, a final pre-recorded video message played for both his former family and the assembled press corps. At my retirement dinner, my wife and children presented me with annulment decrees. His recorded voice stated calmly, resonating through the room. Your pension is ours. You retain nothing. My daughter laughed. 40 years well spent, old man. I simply nodded, withdrew my pen, and signed every document. Understood, I stated. I cleared my office and vanished. 3 days later, they received 73 frantic calls because it had unfolded far sooner than their elaborate plans. The video continued. They intended to seize everything I had painstakingly built. What they failed to comprehend was that I had been meticulously preparing for their betrayal for 17 long years. I signed those papers knowing with absolute certainty that it would be the very last time I would ever willingly surrender anything to them. 6 months later, on a secluded villa terrace overlooking the serene Aegean Sea, Malachi sipped a chilled drink while perusing a digital news feed from Portland on his secure tablet. Veronica had been formally indicted on multiple counts of aggravated financial fraud. Peter had accepted a plea deal, resulting in a 7-year prison sentence. Nora, though narrowly avoiding criminal charges, was permanently disbarred and now worked as a humble restaurant hostess in a small, out-of-state town. Byron Hayes, after recovering from his near-fatal overdose, had turned state's evidence against all of them in exchange for a significantly reduced sentence. Malachi's phone chimed, a secure line known to a select, very few. It was Ronan. They are finally facing sentencing next week, Ronan informed him. Will you be returning for the occasion? Malachi watched the golden sun melting into the horizon. No, he replied, his voice calm, resolute. I've already dedicated more than enough of my life to them. Any lingering regrets? Ronan asked, a hint of curiosity in his tone. Malachi considered the question, the gentle sea breeze rustling through the palms. Only that I delayed for so long in truly seeing them for precisely who they were. As he concluded the call, Malachi deactivated the last remaining monitoring program, ceasing all tracking of his former family. He had methodically dismantled their lives with the same exacting precision with which they had planned to dismantle his. The game was undeniably over. Checkmate. He turned off his phone and strolled along the pristine shoreline, leaving no discernible footprints in the wet sand as the incoming tide gently erased his passage behind him.